watching World News Program, coming to you live from Algiers with me, Miriam Zian, to the headlines. Algeria and Greece affirm their mutual commitment to developing bilateral cooperation across key sectors and highlight their alignment on issues of common interest. Athens praised the close collaboration between the two countries in the energy sector. On the International Human Rights Day, Sahrawi associations and organizations condemned the escalating human rights violations in the occupied territories and denounced the rapid deterioration of conditions there, while the EU warns against agreements with Morocco as perpetuating the occupation of the Sahrawi territory. In the Gaza Strip, Palestinians were killed and injured by Israeli occupation forces in Jabalia, bringing the death toll from the ongoing Zionist aggression to 70,360. Authorities and humanitarian organizations issued urgent appeals to assist displaced residents amid harsh weather conditions. And regarding the Ukraine conflict, Russia stated that Trump's comments on Ukraine largely align with Moscow's vision. President Zelensky announced that revised documents for a plan or a peace plan will soon be submitted to Washington. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer stresses that the UK and Europe will stand united with Kiev. Welcome to the details of your nightly news. First, in our news, Algeria and Greece expressed their mutual commitment to advancing cooperation across various vital and priority sectors. During his meeting on Wednesday morning with the Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis as part of his official visit to Greece, Algeria's Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, conveyed the greetings of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, and Prime Minister, Mr. Sifi Ghraib. A statement from the Algerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs noted that the meeting offered both sides an opportunity to reaffirm their shared willingness to strengthen the relations of friendship and bilateral partnership between the two countries.
I'm really privileged and honored to have this opportunity of meeting you. First of all, I will start to convey to you the salutations and warmest greetings of the President Abdelmajid Tebboune and the Prime Minister, Mr. Sifi Ghraib. When he instructed me to come to Greece with the objective of reviving our bilateral relations, the President entrusted me with three messages to you. The first one relates to his commitment to working with you with a view to reviving our bilateral relations, giving them more substance and a new momentum.
And Algeria and Greece also underscored the convergence of their positions on many issues of common interest, foremost among them the growing challenges facing the Mediterranean region. During a meeting bringing together Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf, the two sides expressed their great satisfaction with the level of coordination between the Algerian and Greek missions as part of their current membership in the UN Security Council.
I'm very interested to hear your thoughts.
The second message is to tell you that we are really pleased of the quality of the work that we have been doing together in the United Nations recently. There is absolutely an outstanding cooperation between our two foreign ministries and two missions in New York, and we have really enjoyed working with you because we look at the international and regional issues with the same lenses. And we are what we can call like-minded countries. So it is not a surprise, but the President really wanted to convey this message to you, how pleased he is of the quality of this cooperation. And the third message relates to the Mediterranean, where it was a traditional area of very close cooperation between our two countries.
And for his part, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis praised what he described as the close cooperation between his country and Algeria in the energy sector. Receiving the Minister of State and Foreign Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, on Wednesday morning at the start of his official visit to Greece, Mitsotakis highlighted the long-standing and solid relations of friendship between Athens and Algiers and their shared vision for promoting peace in the region.
I'm really privileged and honored to.
Our countries enjoy a very long-standing friendship and I think a common vision for peace in our broader region. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts about many regional developments, and of course I would like in particular to highlight the strong cooperation we have when it comes to energy. We've been one of our sort of most reliable suppliers when it comes to liquefied natural gas, and Greece is playing an increasingly important role as an entry point for LNG for the entire Eastern Mediterranean and, of course, for our northern neighbors. So there's a lot to discuss, and it's a real pleasure to be able to welcome you here today.
Algeria reaffirmed its commitment to remain a reliable and stable partner of Greece and of Europe as a whole in the energy sector, as both Algiers and Athens welcomed the expansion of their bilateral cooperation to new areas, including maritime industries, healthcare, innovation ecosystems, and startups. As part of his official visit to Greece, the Minister of State and Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf held talks with his Greek counterpart Georgios Gerapetritis, during which they both agreed to hold the third session of the Joint Economic Cooperation Committee early next year in Algeria.
The consultation and coordination between our two friendly countries as part of their membership in the UN Security Council has indeed reached a distinguished level. Throughout this year, Algeria and Greece have worked hand in hand on the purely bilateral level as well as on the broader level within the framework of the group of 10 elected states to present a joint contribution that pushes the UN Security Council to overcome the state of polarization and division. I would like here to congratulate the friendly Hellenic Republic on its outstanding role, its qualitative contribution, and its principled positions regarding all the issues on the agenda of the UN Security Council, foremost among them the Palestinian cause and the issue of Western Sahara.
Algeria and Greece also expressed satisfaction with what the two countries have accomplished through their membership in the UN Security Council, stressing the importance of further strengthening their joint efforts to respond more effectively to the challenges facing the Mediterranean region. According to the Algerian Foreign Ministry, the talks between Minister Attaf and his Greek counterpart, Georgios Gerapetritis, in Athens, also allowed for an exchange of views, particularly on the latest developments in the Palestinian question, the Western Sahara issue, the Libyan crisis, the situation in the Sahel-Sahara region. Algeria's Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, arrived on Wednesday in Tunis to co-chair alongside his Tunisian counterpart, Mohamed Ali Nafti, the proceedings of the Algerian-Tunisian Follow-up Committee. According to a statement of the Algerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Follow-up Committee will convene on Thursday in preparation for the 23rd session of the Algerian-Tunisian High Joint Commission for bilateral cooperation scheduled for next Friday under the joint chairmanship of Algerian Prime Minister Sifi Ghraib and Tunisian Prime Minister Sarah Zafarani. The Algerian Ministers of Industry Yahya Bashir and of Finance Abdelkrim Bouzar arrived Wednesday morning in Tunisian capital Tunis to take part in the 23rd session of the Algerian-Tunisian High Joint Commission. The two ministers were received by Tunisian Minister of Industry, Mines and Energy Fatma Tabet, along with senior officials from her ministry and members of the diplomatic corps. A statement from Algeria's Ministry of Industry noted that this session represents a strategic milestone for strengthening economic and trade cooperation between the two countries. An economic forum bringing together business leaders from both sides will also be organized with the aim of creating new cooperation opportunities and launching joint value-added projects. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, affirmed that pride in the authenticity of Algeria's revolutionary legacy remains a source of the people's unity, strength, and shared national reference. According to the Algerian presidency, President Tebboune stressed in a message marking the 65th anniversary of the December 11, 1960 demonstrations that the struggle waged by the martyrs and freedom fighters for liberty and independence constitutes a legacy from which the Algerian people draw the ability to discern the threats of today's smartly orchestrated conflicts of interest amid the current regional and international context. He added that these historic milestones form a legacy that nurtures national awareness of the hidden motives behind all forms of paid propaganda and the intentions of those who are swayed by in attempts to undermine the state and harm its interests.
The overwhelming crowds, the chanting voices, the raised banners, and the expressive ululations during those demonstrations, in those historic moments, were a powerful expression of the deep bond with the men and women who rushed from the dawn of November 1st into the horrors of the War of Liberation, eager to sacrifice their lives in cities, towns and villages so that Algeria might live. And as we surround those principles and objectives with the reverence they deserve, in loyalty to the eternal message and in honor of the legacy of the iconic martyr Didouche Mourad, if we are martyred, preserve our memory. We are proud of the authenticity of our glorious revolutionary heritage in the hearts of every Algerian, man and woman, the source of the people's unity and strength, and their unifying reference point.
President Tebboune also stressed that the Algerian people, with their deep-rooted history, identity and solidarity in difficult times, remain determined to navigate the present with vigilance against attempts to disrupt their national project while steering the course toward a future that safeguards the aspirations of coming generations in a nation that supports their ambitions.
Our people were born from the womb of a rich and unified history, forever forged in an Algerian identity rooted in the land, embracing diversity and united in faith. Our people who rallied in a national front during the years of the bloody tragedy and throughout all difficult times are today more determined than ever to lead the present phase, vigilant against attempts to disrupt their national project, keeping their compass pointed towards the future of generations who aspire to live in a country that listens to the hopes of its youth and nurtures their ambitions. A society that celebrates the talents and skills of our sons and daughters, investing their abilities in the dynamics of genuine transformation towards establishing the foundations and landmarks of sustainable development within the country and affirming its active role and preserved position abroad.
The president further emphasized in his message that commemorating the December 11 demonstrations and other historic milestones serves as a moment for reflection and a motivation for continued efforts at all levels and across all sectors to further strengthen economic and social indicators.
As I stand with you on the 65th anniversary of the December 11th demonstrations, paying tribute to the sacrifices of the noble Algerian people, I consider this anniversary and other glorious historical milestones an occasion to reflect on the lessons and insights drawn from the stages of building the independent nation-state, with its victories and the difficulties it faced in specific circumstances and periods. This should serve as a starting point and motivation for a proper assessment of the magnitude of the efforts expected from everyone at all levels and in all positions to further strengthen the economic and social indicators achieved by the Algerian people since they entrusted us with their confidence. It should also serve as a catalyst for faster and more effective integration into the paths of ambitious nations which deserve a prominent position. We will undoubtedly reach this point soon in fulfillment of the message of the martyrs to whom we pay tribute and their comrades, the Mujahideen, to whom we extend our greetings and appreciation.
The French authorities released Algerian journalist and analyst at Al24 News Mahdi Ghazar just hours after he was arrested by French police on Tuesday evening near his residency in Paris, according to what he told Al24 News. More details in the following report with Marwa Belayawar.
Actuellement à parler dans le monde comme Raza, j'ai beaucoup plus d'envie de parler de Raza.
In a sudden and unexpected move, French police arrested Algerian journalist and analyst Mahdi Ghazar on Tuesday night near his home in Paris, according to Algeria's state news agency. Authorities informed Ghazar that he had been flagged under the French S-file and listed among individuals considered wanted, two exceptional security classifications typically reserved for people viewed as posing a serious threat to public order. This is not the first time Ghazar has faced pressure in France. He was previously removed from the airwaves of RMC's popular show Les Grands de Gueule after speaking out about the ongoing genocide in Gaza, where he had been one of the program's most listened to voices. For months, the Algerian journalist has also reported being repeatedly stopped at Paris airports every time he enters or leaves the country, a pattern he describes as escalating and unjustified. According to observers, Ghazar's arrest shows that even after the departure of far-right Minister Bruno Retailleau, the policies and hostile attitudes he championed toward Algeria remain deeply rooted within French institutions.
Algeria's Ministry of Environment and Quality of Life organized the coordination meeting, bringing together the National Committee for Environmental Memory and the Algerian Committee for History and Memory as part of efforts to follow up on the project to assess and document the environmental damage caused by colonialism. Held on the eve of the commemoration of the December 11, 1960 demonstrations and coinciding with the International Human Rights Day, the meeting featured general presentations on mechanisms for follow-up and coordination, as well as an exchange of views on ways to support scientific and institutional efforts related to research and environmental memory. Today is a coordination meeting with the Algerian Committee for Memory and History to include this file within this framework. After these damages are confirmed and assessed by the specialized committee, the findings of these analyses and evaluations will be integrated into a digital scientific guide, which will serve as an eyewitness reference and a scientific source for all the evidential proofs that confirm the environmental colonial crimes and environmental residues in the effort to demand their reparation. And in other news, and as you followed in our headlines, Sahrawi Human Rights Associations condemned the escalating human rights violations carried out by the Moroccan occupation forces in the occupied Sahrawi territories, calling on UN bodies and relevant international institutions to assume their responsibilities in ensuring the protection of civilians. In a statement issued Wednesday on the occasion of International Human Rights Day, the Sahrawi Association of Victims of Grave Human Rights Violations denounced the worsening and serious violations in the occupied part of the Western Sahara, the continued restrictions on freedoms, the expansion of repressive practices, and the growing daily suffering of the Sahrawi population. Sahrawi human rights organizations also condemned the rapid deterioration of human rights conditions in the occupied part of Western Sahara due to the escalating repressive practices of the Moroccan occupation forces in clear violation of the standards set out in international conventions. The collective Sahrawi Human Rights Defenders, Colonial, affirmed that the ongoing military occupation of Western Sahara, along with its systematic repression, discrimination, denial of fundamental rights, and exploitation and plundering of the territory's natural resources, constitutes a grave violation of international humanitarian law. European MPs and activists and politicians affirm that the partnership and agreement between Morocco and the EU serves only the Moroccan occupation by financing its military occupation of Western Sahara. On the sidelines of the massive demonstrations condemning the trade agreement concluded at the beginning of last October between Morocco and the EU, participating MPs described the agreements as illegal, and that those who signed them claimed that their objectives included developing the region, even though their real aim is to serve Morocco and help it provide the financial means to strengthen its occupation.
The European Solidarity Movement will accompany the European Parliamentary Group in the upcoming stages in order to win this bet and overturn the agreement, which means affirming legitimacy from within the legislative and popular authority in Europe, namely the European Parliament. This will constitute a strong message to the political authority and the European forces that are trying to trample on the law and on the right of the Sahrawi people in service of a narrow agenda with the Moroccan occupation.
We have hope and determination to overturn this agreement through the European Parliament when it's put to a vote. We were very close during the vote on the 26th of last November to overturn one of its problematic points related to labeling, but we showed the majority rejecting the agreement from various political groups.
And the Palestinian media outlets citing medical sources in the Gaza Strip reported that 3 Palestinians, among them a woman and a child, were killed by Zionist occupation forces in Jabalia in the northern part of the Strip on Wednesday morning. The same sources added that occupation forces opened direct fire on Palestinian civilians near the Yellow Line in Jabalia refugee camp, causing their death. The Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza announced on Wednesday that the death toll in the Strip has risen to 70,369, the majority of them children and women, since the start of the Israeli aggression on 7 October 2023. Since the ceasefire agreement last October, the cumulative toll, or the death toll, has reached 379 martyrs and 992 injured, while 627 bodies have been recovered, the same sources added. The Palestinian government called on international agencies, humanitarian organizations and local associations to urgently provide shelter materials for displaced families and pressure the occupation to allow the unrestricted entry of humanitarian aid amid the harsh weather conditions hitting the Gaza Strip since early Wednesday morning. In a statement, the Government Emergency Operations Room said that heavy overnight rainfall caused dozens of tents to flood and destroyed displaced families' belongings, worsening their suffering in the absence of protection from the cold and storms. It warned that the situation could lead to fatalities among children and the elderly. And the United Nations has firmly rejected the Israeli occupation's claim that the Yellow Line in Gaza represents what it called the new border, stressing its complete opposition to any change in the boundaries of the Strip. UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric said in a press briefing that these claims contradict both the spirit and the letter of the peace plan proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump, stressing that the UN relies on the Strip's established boundaries, not the so-called Yellow Line. Escalating conflict with heavy drone warfare, Ukraine repels an armored assault in Pokrovsk, while both sides report infrastructure attacks and casualties. Control of Pokrovsk remains strategically critical. Usama Ayadi has the details in this report.
The war between Russia and Ukraine continues to rage as conflicting territorial claims and intensified attacks marked a new escalation in their nearly 2-year conflict. Ukrainian forces reported repelling a significant Russian armored assault on the eastern city of Pokrovsk on Wednesday morning. Ukrainian Army's 7th Rapid Response Corps reported that Russian forces launched the assault using cars, motorcycles, and armored vehicles in an attempt to break through from the southern to northern parts of the city. In Kherson region, reports also affirm that Ukrainian shelling struck a hospital in the Moscow-controlled area, killing 3 medical staff members and wounding 2 others. As the war rages on, Ukraine's Air Force Command reported shooting down 50 out of 80 drones launched by Russian forces, primarily in southern and eastern regions, with an additional 29 drones across 7 different locations.
They're flying drones over people. It's terrifying. Every day you lie down and think whether you will get through the window or not, whether you will stay well. Every single day, from morning to evening, you hear Kostiantynivka. And we're being shelled too.
Sources also reported that Russian drones bombed a gas transmission system in the Odessa region of southern Ukraine. Reports explained that Russian forces had launched targeted attacks on the region's gas infrastructure and related facilities over the past 24 hours.
Now most people are being evacuated in the Meziv community. For several weeks now, there have been no evacuees coming from the Pokrovsk community itself because the security situation doesn't allow teams to enter the community.
Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry stated that its air defense intercepted and destroyed 20 Ukrainian drones over Russian regions overnight. Russian defenses stated shooting down 4 drones heading toward the capital. The exchange of drone attacks highlights the increasingly technological nature of the conflict, with both sides employing unarmed aerial vehicles for offensive operations and reconnaissance. The situation remains fluid along the front lines, with military analysts noting that the control of Pokrovsk could provide Russia with a strategic advantage for further advances into Ukrainian territory.
Russian presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that U.S. President Donald Trump's comments regarding Ukraine's NATO membership and the Russian-held territories largely aligned with Moscow's vision. Peskov described Trump's statements on the root causes of the conflict in Ukraine as significant for the prospects of reaching a peaceful settlement, noting that the Kremlin has carefully reviewed the sections of Trump's recent interview that addressed Russia and Ukraine. Finally, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that his country and its European partners will soon be ready to submit revised documents to the U.S. regarding a peace plan to end the war, following intensive diplomatic efforts over the past several days. In a statement posted on his social media accounts on Tuesday, Zelensky explained that the new parts of the agreement reached with the leaders of the UK, France and Germany during Monday's London meeting are now ready for review by Washington, adding that he expects to work closely with the US side to make the proposed steps actionable as quickly as possible. And that's a wrap for tonight's program. Thanks for watching and have a great night.